Shields up, Iron Breakers. Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today we're going to be talking about Monster Hunter World. More specifically, we're going to be going over the Insect Glaive. As with all of my weapon videos, this is intended to give you guys a basic notion of how this particular weapon works, and give you guys maybe a couple of interesting combos that you can do, and also give you guys a reason why you might want to use this particular weapon over any other weapon in the game. And in the case of the Insect Glaive, that reason is actually pretty simple. How would you like to fly in Monster Hunter World? Because once you master the moveset of this particular weapon, that's exactly what it's going to look like you're doing. You're essentially flying on top of the monster, dealing massive amounts of damage, and also dealing mounting damage, which essentially enables you to mount monsters. This is, without a doubt, the best weapon to get mounts on monsters, so if you like the mounting mechanics, this is probably one of the weapons that you will want to master before any other. Having said that, though, let's first get to the basics, shall we? This is the Insect Glaive. You can see it right here. It is a combination of a staff weapon and an insect weapon. And it is important to emphasize the insect portion of this weapon because the insect comes feature complete with its own upgrade path as well as element swapping capability. So at any point in time, you can swap the element of your kinsect. You want a fire kinsect, you want a thunder kinsect, you can just straight up go to the smithy and change the kinsect's element at your leisure. This, obviously, as you can imagine, allows you to actually have two different elements equipped in the same weapon. So for those monsters that have stuff like mud, you can have your kinsect have water and use water to remove the mud, and then you can have your Insect Glaive use the element to which the monster is weak to without the mud on top of its body. That's just one of the many uses that you can have for your Insect Glaive combo. Bear in mind the Kinsect this time around, if you happen to be a Insect Glaive user in the previous games, the Kinsect is no longer attached to the Insect Glaive. So you can essentially develop your Kinsect completely separately from the Insect Glaive itself. As a matter of fact, not only you can, you most definitely should, because the game's not going to do it for you. So keep that in mind. If you are a Kinsect user, you need to manage both your glaive and your kinsect. There's a whole separate menu just for kinsects in the smithy, so make sure that you check that out whenever you are doing your upgrades. There are multiple types of kinsects, and there are a couple of new interesting effects that we will be going over with this weapon. Now, before we go into the melee aspects of this weapon, because yes, this is a melee weapon, you can come up to anything and start hitting it, and it has some pretty cool animations. And I know that some people are going to look at the Insect Glaive and they're going to be like, oh dude, it's just like Darth Maul. I'm some Darth Maul dude with my staff, just like smacking stuff. I love this weapon. I don't even need the buffs. I can just kill stuff without the Kinsect buffs. That thing's too complicated anyway. Let me tell you right this second, if you plan on not using the Kinsect buffs or the Kinsect at all, do not use this weapon because it will be weaker than any other weapon in this game. In order to use this weapon, you need to use the buffing mechanics. Otherwise, you're basically hampering your whole team. That's literally the way it works. So let's talk about a couple of the basic melee combos. If you are standing in place and you press triangle 3 times, you get the basic combo. Yeah, not particularly impressive. You use the circle combo to basically move around. So say the monster was in front of you right here, and then he moved slightly to your left. You press left and circle. Your character is going to start attacking in that general direction. Or right and circle. Basically, it's a bit of a gap closer. This is also the attack that you're going to be dealing if you attack from a sheathed position. So keep that in mind. Circle, closing gaps, triangle, dealing damage. You also have circle and triangle, but it's whatever. These combos are not the most important thing about this weapon because essentially these combos are going to suck unless you are actually buffed. So let's talk about buffing. Buffing occurs when you send your Kinsect out to collect extract from a monster. And usually this is done by collecting extract from different body parts of a monster. Usually the head will be your red buff, the wings will be your white buff, and the backside close to the tail. Not the tail itself, but the backside around the tail will be your orange buff. And you guys are like, what are these buffs you're talking about? Well, in order to simulate this in the training ground, what they've done is they've had this pole simulate the monster's head. They've had these barrels simulate I think these are the white buffs, so like their midsections, their wings. And they've had the smaller barrels simulate like the backside of the monster. And that is where we are going to be getting our buffs. So, how do I get buffs? You press L2 and you get a targeting reticule. And you guys are like, okay, so now I press R2 to fire stuff. No, not yet. We will go over the R2 mechanics a little bit later. But right now, in order to fire off your Insect, you will want to use triangle. Once you fire off your Insect, he is going to be staying in place where he went, and he's just going to stay there. You can see he's glowing red. That's because he has the red buff. You can call him back by pressing L2 and circle, and he will give you the red buff. Let's take a look at the top left-hand side. This is one of the more complex weapon gauges. You guys can see a bunch of stuff in there. There is a drawing of an insect. There are 3 buffs, 1, 2, and 3, respectively red, white, and orange. And below it, there's a little yellow gauge. The little yellow gauge is your insect's stamina. So when you throw it out, he will start consuming that yellow gauge. When you call it back, he will regain the yellow gauge. So keep that in mind. You can only keep your insect out for a certain amount of time. And you guys are like, why does it matter? Isn't it just send it out, call it back? Not always, but for now, let's focus on that. Another thing, once you send out your Insect, if for some reason you can't look at your Insect because you're busy fighting somewhere else, you can look at the top left-hand side again, and on the Insect picture, there will be a color. Right now it is red. That means that your Insect has the red buff. You call it back, he will bring the red buff and refresh it back to you. So, what does the red buff actually do? Red buff increases your damage. It also increases your combos. You will notice that this particular combo is different from the combo that you will deal without the red buff. So you most definitely want to get red buff as often as possible. You will straight up be dealing more damage regardless of the moves that you are doing. Okay? So red buff, very important. Next buff is white buff. Actually, that was orange. Sorry, my bad. Let me actually send the Insect over there. There. Next buff is white buff. White buff makes you move faster. I believe in previous Monster Hunter games it also increased your affinity. I'm not sure if it is the case in this one because if we actually go to the Hunter's notes, they just straight up say this makes you faster. Which you can see right there on the Insect Harvest Extract portion of the guide. It says right there, red, improved attacks, white, faster movement, orange, knockback prevention while attacking, and green restores health. Now, we're not really looking at green. I'm not even sure there is a green one around here. Let me see if maybe this barrel gives us green. No, there really isn't a green one here, unfortunately. But green is usually the monster's tail. The very tail itself will give you a green buff, and green buff essentially will heal you. So, like I said, white buff makes you move faster. Red buff increases your damage by modifying your combos. And orange buff will grant you defense. Once you have all three, the effects of the buffs are slightly increased, so you'll be dealing more damage, you will have more defense, and you will move even faster. So keep this in mind. This is very important for you to always have the 3 buffs while you are fighting a monster. So a big portion of the time when you are fighting a monster before you actually engage in combat with it, you will want to try and gather all 3 buffs. So practice running around, throwing your Insect, recalling it. It's going to require a bit of practice, a bit of getting used to, and this is a very unique weapon, so you have to really think about things a little bit differently than any other weapon you've used before, so keep these things in mind. Okay? Now, having said that, once you successfully gather all 3 buffs, it's time to go all out. You can just go up to the monster, just slash away like nobody's business. Try to basically combo stuff with circle, with triangle, because pretty much if you use triangle at the end, if you use circle at the end of any triangle combo, it will extend that combo into an infinite combo, like so. and then you can continue. Now we've lost the buffs. As you can see, it doesn't last particularly long. So once again, it is buff hunting time. So you go hit the different monster parts, and you get yourself the 3 buffs again, and then you can continue. It's like, whoa, 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 Rurikhan, what the fuck was that? Yeah, now let's talk about some interesting things. We talked about the basic combos. We talked about collecting buffs. Now let's talk about the aerial portion of the friggin' Insect Glaive. So, at any point in time, you can press R2 and X, or I believe that will be A if you're an Xbox user, and your character will jump. Now this opens the door to many interesting possibilities, because basically whenever you deal damage from up here, you're going to be dealing mounting damage. So you can basically jump, press triangle. Your character does all of those nice rolls over there. That is because you still have the buffs. Remember, if you do not have the buffs, your combos are going to be considerably weaker. You can also use circle while in the air, and you will do what I will start calling the Rafflecopter move. I mean, just look at this. Whee! This just deals tons of damage. Now, like I said, this is going to change. Right now, we don't have the buffs. So if we jump, press triangle, it's just a very simple move. It still allows you to mount the monster, but it's not nearly as impressive. I mean, you've seen earlier, we were spinning all over the place with the friggin' buff. The other thing is with circle, it gives you a little bit of momentum in a direction while still allowing you to jump on top of a monster. Another thing that you can do when you jump is you can press X to reposition yourself, and then on top of it, you can still press circle to reposition yourself again. Okay, so keep these things in mind. Like I said, this is a very aerial-friendly weapon, so it gives you a lot of movement options when you are in the air. Like I said, jump, reposition, attack, or jump, attack, or even jump, reposition, different attack. So there's a lot of things that you can do. But they've actually gone one step further, because this was still almost things that you could do in previous Monster Hunters, with the exception of the air dodge that we have now. The other things you could pretty much do. However, this time they've gone one step further. If you hit a monster while in the air with circle, you will remain in the air. So think of that little pull over there like the monster that you're trying to attack. Jump in its direction, circle, attack, jumps again, circle, attack, jumps again, circle, attack, jumps again, circle, attack, jumps again, circle, attack. That was the last one. You couldn't jump anymore. There is a limit. It's either 3 or 4. I'm not entirely sure because I haven't counted them yet. But you can basically stay in the air for quite some time, as you can imagine. And this is with the simple version of the combo, because we don't have our buffs right now. Now you guys are like, oh my god, Rurikhan, do it with the combo, do it with the buffs, do it, please! I need to see it! Okay, you guys asked for it. All we really need is the red buff to do the attacks, so... Whee! Whee! Buff again! Go in this direction, whee! It's like, it's a little bit harder for me to keep it up in the air like this, because the pole is actually a pretty small target. But basically, you can keep going so long as you hit one attack on anything, you can keep on going. So like that, then like that. I mean, like I said, this is a small target. The bigger the monster is, the longer you will be able to stay airborne. So keep those things in mind. Due to the hectic nature of Insect Glaive's aerial combo, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to keep tabs on where your target actually is. If you're experiencing this particular difficulty, I would advise you to try and use the new lock-on feature, because it will automatically rotate the camera to face your target. Usually, I don't use that feature in any other weapon because I find it easier to just like manually aim my attacks. But if you are struggling with the aerial combos, try using lock-on. That might help you out. So this is pretty cool, isn't it? This is the flying aspect of the Insect Glaive, and it is one of the coolest things that you can do. Now bear in mind that this is a movement attack, which is the circle attack. If you just want to attack a monster that is standing in place, you can use the other attack. Let me get the red buff again. If you just want to attack a monster that is in place, you can just jump, hit triangle, and it will just do this sliding down. Or you can combo them both together. So you can jump, circle, Oops, sorry, I missed it. Jump, circle, jump again, and get the lower attack like that. Or you can even combo it even further by doing, wait, this, circle. Damn it. I'm sorry, I've only really started using this today for the purpose of making this video. Circle, X, and then still triangle. So you can basically combo all of these things together in order to really give you a lot of mobility in the air. Now let's sharpen up and take a look at another mechanic that they've added to this. So, you guys have seen me fire the Insect in order to get the buffs. Like I said, always get the 3 buffs, otherwise your weapon is flat out inferior to any other weapon in the game, so keep these things in mind. Now, the other thing that you can do is mark. You can mark a monster. Now, there are 2 ways of doing this. One of those is using R2 when you are aiming. So you're aiming this, you press R2. This is going to paint a monster, and your Insect is going to go over there, and he's going to start attacking that monster. You can see the Insect hovering over. He's going to do it again. Notice how there are a little yellow things popping up every single time he bites that monster. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 yellow things. Basically, he's going to stay there until the stamina runs out, and he's going to keep attacking, constantly attacking, and he still gets buffs for the area that he is attacking. Now you guys are like, what are those yellow things? Try attacking them. Wow, they all exploded. That was pretty cool. Okay, so what's that all about? Well, if we look at our specific Insect, can we look at our Insect? Insect bonus speed boost. No, it's not here. We're gonna. I'm just gonna go over here to show you guys my Insect type. If we go to change equipment, the Insect that I currently have equipped is the Lady Targe, and if you look at the Lady Targe, it has, like I said, each Insect has its own stats separate from the weapon. Its attack type is blunt, so this will also deal impact damage if you hit a monster in the face. This specific Insect, I also have a slashing Insect right here. No, actually, this one's also blunt. Where's my slashing one? Do I just have 2 blunt Insects? Really? I think I have a slashing one somewhere in here, but kind of lost right now. Oh, here we go. Wind Chopper, right there. Attack type Sever. Now, if we look further into the current Insect that I have equipped, Dust Effect Paralysis. That's what you guys were seeing. So those little puffs of dust with insects around them will basically inflict paralysis once you pop them. Okay, so keep these things in mind. So the whole thing we did where we marked the target and the insect started attacking it, starts generating those little yellow things. Once you pop the yellow things, that's paralyzed damage. Wow, that thing is like way up in there. That's more paralyzed damage. And more paralyzed damage. So you do have a chance of paralyzing a monster using this. Now, different insects will have different effects. As a matter of fact, if you guys were watching the live stream the other day, you'll have seen that Kegarin had a blast insect, which essentially caused explosions. So those little puffs of dust, in the case of Kegarin's insect, would be explosives. Now let me swap the insects around so that you guys can see a different effect. Because maybe you don't want paralysis. Maybe instead of that, you'd like to have poison. So I have a different insect over here. Gonna fire him off. There you go. Oops. I retracted my weapon. Whenever you sheath your weapon, your insect gets recalled. There you go. Now you have the little purple effect. Hit the purple effect. That's poison damage. More purple effect up there. Hit that. Poison damage. So you can have a weapon that is not poison and still be inflicting poison damage. You can have a weapon that is not paralysis and still be inflicting paralysis damage. You or anyone else, because I believe that anyone in your party will be able to pop these things. So keep that in mind. You can have all kinds of different effects in your insect. As a matter of fact, if you want to be a healer, there are even insects that will allow you to heal. Where's my healing insect? That is the Wind Chopper. Notice how they all have different glows indicating the type of things that they are doing. So this insect glows green. So let's once again shoot the insect over here. It's going to create little puffs of health. See that right there? This one's a little bit more intuitive because it is green, and you know that green usually in Monster Hunter is healing. You guys might be like, is that really healing? I'm just going to take some damage. That you guys can see. We took some damage. Now we go back here. And you should have seen the health gauge increase a little bit. The heals are actually pretty decent. And you can remember, you can also get heals by sending your Kinsect to a monster's tail. The other thing is that you don't necessarily have to instantly recall your Kinsect. As a matter of fact, you can have your Kinsect attack a bunch of different stuff. You can attack over there, and then while he's out, you can just give him the attack to attack over there, command to attack over there. He will go wherever you want, so long as he has enough stamina. Okay? So you can totally just be rocking the Kinsect if you feel like it's not safe for you to attack the monster right now. Just send your Kinsect in there and beat the crap out of him. Another option of using the mark is pressing R2 in the middle of your combo. So like say you're attacking a monster, slashing away at him like nobody's business, and then you press R2, he's going to mark it, the Kinsect will go out there and start attacking. You can mark a different spot. The Kinsect usually tries to go for the spots that you mark on him. So like say for instance you're attacking a monster over here, which I should have used circle there, R2, Kinsect will move from over there to over here, and he will start attacking that barrel. And once again, you can just get the benefits of the little puffs of dust by doing that. For some strange reason, I have a tendency to forget the sliding animation attacks, but I'm going to be correcting that for sure on the Insect Glaive. Now, the main thing about the sliding attack from the Insect Glaive is that if you land it on something, you will actually get another jump. Like so. Because it works just like the circle attack that we went over earlier. And naturally, if you have the red buff, there's going to be a little bit more to it than just that. As per usual, because the red buff grants you more damage by changing your combos. So, you get the circle attack, and I even missed my target with the red buff because of how far away it jumps. But, if you land it, you'll be able to jump again. But yeah, it's pretty cool. So, sliding, also awesome. Sliding, jumping, anything. It's just, I guess because of the fact that you're just constantly jumping anyways with the Insect Glaive, I'm like, is it even worth it to mention the sliding? I guess it is. Whee! And also, you can throw out your Kinsect during a slide, but I mean, you can throw out your Kinsect at any point by just pressing R2 from a sheathing animation. And there you go. That's the sliding and the R2 from sheath. And that is essentially what the Insect Glaive is all about. You can jump, you have a lot of aerial mobility, you need to always keep your buffs up. Remember that, keeping your buffs up, probably one of the most important things about the Insect Glaive. And yeah, death from above is pretty much the name of the game. And also, remember, upgrade both your Insect Glaive as well as your insect itself. Now, happy mounting, I guess, because that's what you're going to be doing a lot of. Mounting, 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 and mounting. Thank you guys very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.